Hi there, and welcome to this presentation of the KETRON SD9 Pro AjamSonic. So today we're going to focus on sound, and some styles, but most importantly, features that we can use to create these sounds and we can use to shape our sounds. I think that's one of the most neglected features of the SD9 Pro that are available to you to use on such a wonderful and exciting musical instrument. Before we go further, I would like to advise all of you listening and watching today to truly enjoy. I know that sound is subjective indeed, but to really enjoy the sounds coming out of this board, I would highly suggest and recommend that you use a good pair of headphones or you actually play this through a good sound system. That way you can hear the sounds that are coming out of the board the way they were meant to be heard, right? So in this first example, we're going to talk about the symphonic orchestral string sounds. Now we've paid a lot of attention to this particular samples, but it's not just about the sample, turning them on and off. It's about how you articulate them, how you manipulate, and how you play them. So listen to this, and then we'll take some questions and we'll explain a little bit more as to how we were able to create this great sound indeed. Here we go. Yes, I'm already looking to see some of the comments coming out on Facebook. Juliet is asking, how did you do that? Of course, that's going to be the question. How did you do that? How do we get all those parts into this particular performance indeed? So we're going to answer that question right now, right away. So pretty much, let's go back into our screen, and so I can show you exactly what we're doing here as you see, as you take an idea, take a look at what's happening here on the on the uh, on the machine, on the unit itself. Okay, so if we go in and we take a look at the screen, you can see that we have this new sound that we're looking at here, the symphonic string sound. So there are a couple of things that are going on. Okay, when I play, let's talk about first of all the velocity. You know, how soft and how hard I'm playing. If I play soft, I'm getting a particular sound, right? If I play hard, I get another sound, another variation, right? So if I play gently, you can hear the bells and everything coming in right there, right? Okay, so exactly how do we do that? Okay, to do that, if you look at the editor, I'm just going to touch this voice here for 2 seconds so you can go into that screen so you can see what we're looking at. So what I've done is I've taken advantage of a couple of things, all right? So we have, of course, the French horn strings, but the question is, at what point do you hear what sound? So if you notice, I've set the velocities so I can hear them coming in and out at different on different times, right? So I even have, for example, my timpani strings, which I'm also using, for example, to trigger the sound. And that only comes in when I play very, very hard, right? So if I don't do it that way, what am I going to be left? If I don't do that, then each time that I play the keyboard, I'm going to hear all those three voices together. But I want certain voices to come on and on at different times, right? And that's the whole idea. So back to the screen, what we're doing is when we're playing hard, you can hear that timpani, back there. So again, what do? I set that to respond. If you look at the third row right there, only when I play the keyboard really, really hard. Okay, so that's when that responds. If I go to the next page, I'm also doing a couple of things here on the expression. Okay, so on the first French horn, the first voice with expression, you notice that the expression pedal is checked, which means that when I use my volume pedal will only impact that voice, the one which is checked, okay? If I use my sustain pedal will only impact the voice that is also checked on here as well too. So that's pretty much how I'm actually being able to manage this, okay? So that actually allows me to be able to trigger using my sustain pedal or my volume pedal the different sounds if I want to sustain them. So at the end, when you heard me do the little sustain note there, the only sound that was sustained was the slow strings, okay? So that what happens is when I press the sustain pedal, only that particular voice gets sustained and the other voices don't. So that allows me to be able to do this on the keyboard, okay, and then let it hold, and then I add what other part that I want to play as well in real time. So that's one of the tricks of being able to use the voice editor. It actually gives you access to these great sounds indeed. Okay, so that's just one of the voices that we were actually working with. Another one that we're going to talk about today real quick, I'm going to go into my voice section over here. And let me go back and show you guys the screen once again. Now, if we're going to look at this electric piano sound, I'm going to go into the piano category over here. And we're going to be offering, I think we started doing that already, offering some of these sounds and styles for free on the internet. For those of you who go out there and leave a review on AjamSonic, you just go to Google real quick and search for AjamSonic and then leave a review. And that review will be able to help you out to be able to have the sound sets that you need to be able to register the keyboard. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to hit, let's see, Yeah, I'm going to go in. I'm going to hit the TX Ajam TX piano real quick, and let's see exactly what that sound is made of. Okay, so I'm going to go to the right side of my panel, and I'm going to go here and try to adjust and balance the volumes. The right hand slider controls the entire right voice, and I also have the second voice here, which I'm making very good use of as well too. So let's hear what this sound sounds like. All right, here we go. So what we'll be doing in that example, right? That's you notice the little ball I have on my screen over there that I'm messing with. Now, unfortunately, today in the music industry, it looks like, or it appears like, to be a musician you have to also be an engineer, right? To understand how to work with sounds, uh, how to work with, let's say, attack on a sound, decay, sustain, and play around with the sound and do all those things. So, to skip through all that part, I'm going to do a detailed video about that later on. But to skip through that part, I'm just having fun with the machine right now, right? So there's a function on here. If I go over to the keyboard here, the top right-hand corner, that says filter. Okay, so I'm going to switch my screen here real quick so it gives you a better idea of exactly what I'm doing. So here, if I go to this section over here, filter, okay, it opens up this little window here on the right hand side, which allows me to move, all right, to go through different aspects of this filter. Now, to get a better idea of what I'm doing, I'm going to go into the main filter page right there, okay, and I'm going to expand that, right? So when I do that, you can see exactly what the different parameters of the sound that I'm actually messing around with, right? Now, these parameters can be changed directly on the screen by sliding up and down, okay, as such, as you can see right there. Or these can actually be expanded, like I've done, and be controlled by these sliders over here, all right, these volumes over here. So that way, when I pick a sound, I'm able to actually model or work with that particular sound in real time, right? So I pick a sound, let's say, in this case, I was working with a suitcase sound, but let me go into another electric piano with pads and come back to the screen so I can show you exactly what I'm working with, right? So in this sound, we're going to have a padded a piano, but then I'm going to be coming in and out with different, I'm going to be changing these different values of that particular sound, okay, for the most part. So if I get out of that, well, if I stay in that screen, I'm going to go back in that screen here real quick, and I'm going to try and play something here, okay? So this is what my piano would normally sound like, right? So I have a sound like this. Now, the good thing about this is if you just go in there, okay, and you throw in a nice, gentle ballad beat, for example, okay, this now allows you to do some very, very interesting things indeed, because you can actually combine this with a style, and then you have the full power of this particular sound that you were working with. So it'll sound something like this. So that was me just adding a nice, simple 8-beat ballad rhythm to that particular style, so I could get that particular effect. Okay, so let me get my mouse again real quick. So just to show you what we're talking about here directly on the screen. Okay, the filter. So that allows you to be able to go in and filter in and out different elements of your sound. But not only was I doing that in that regard, at some point you notice me also moving the wheel, the modulation wheel over here. Okay, this wheel, and you can morph. You can actually go between sounds. You can go from one sound to another. And again, all of this is actually featured in the voice editor. When you go into a particular voice and you touch and hold that for 2 seconds, and it brings you into this editor over here. If I go over to page 2, I believe page 2 over there, I can actually pick my first voice, my second voice. Okay, now in page 3, I can just select the voices, the modulation value. In other words, when I bring the wheel down, which voice do I want to hear? Let me take you to the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so over here in page 3, I go down here. First voice when the wheel is down, second voice when the wheel is up. And so when I move this wheel down, I'm going to hear the first voice. And when I move the wheel up, I'm going to hear this second voice. Okay, you can also apply a wah-wah effect to that. All right, you have in the volume pedal, an expression pedal, and in that case, you can actually be you're capable of adding a wah-wah effect to that particular sound. So this is a very intriguing feature because it allows you to be able to quickly play around with voices without having to lift your finger off the keyboard. So that way you focus on your performance, right? So you can move voices, motion sound. You can actually move sounds and move effects of the different sounds depending on how hard or how soft you play, also depending on the position of the modulation wheel, and also if you're using the filter feature that I just showed you as well too. So that's a very, very interesting parameter. Okay, and let's move now to the next one that I want to call the motion sound. When you have a keyboard, most of the time you just think about picking a voice and you play, right? And we have all these tools like the wheel, for an example, or like the filter that we just discussed. But what about being able to move within sounds, right? Now, I know some people are thinking probably like, having an arpeggio, but I'm talking about, having a sound or having a voice and being able to, in a smooth nature, move between those particular sounds. Let's discuss that next. So for that, I'm going to do this right here.